Hello there, so you decided to play Skyrim as a pugilist. You might even be a masochist like me and want to do it on Legendary with no glitches and no followers for some reason. You've seen all the videos on YouTube and none of them brought anything new to the table. Is this all there is to it? Are we destined to wander Skyrim with a maximum of 95 damage and a memory of a once great dream that is crumbled to dust right before our eyes? Well, mostly no. Let's start with the basics. Khajiit, 22 damage, A tier. Argonian, 10 damage, B tier. Orcs, S tier cause Berserk doubles your physical damage. All of the other races, meager 4 damage. Trash tier, you have to rush Fists of Steel to be able to do any real damage. There's a grand total of 8 ways of increasing unarmed damage. The first one is enchanting. You can enchant your gloves and your ring. It maxes out at 19 damage without any exploits, and you can up this to 21 damage by using the Falmer Helmet glitch. Number 2 is the Fist of Steel perk in the Heavy Armor tree. It adds a maximum of 18 damage with Daedra gauntlets. Tempering the gauntlets makes no difference. As you can see here, these gauntlets are tempered, but my damage remains the same. Number 3 is Necromage. It boosts all of your enchantments by 25% if you're a vampire. So 19 becomes 23 and 21 becomes 26. As a Khajiit, if you transform to a Vampire Lord and revert back, you will get 3 bonus damage from your Claw ability. Number 4 is Berserk Rage. This is why Orcs are S tier. It halves the damage you take and doubles your physical damage. It basically reduces the difficulty for 60 seconds. Sneak attacks doubles the damage of your first strike and makes me hate you. As fun as it is to RKO enemies out of the blue, you'll never be able to one-shot anything other than a bandit. Dragon Aspect. This one actually applies to your unarmed power attacks as well, increasing the damage by 25%. Power attacks are pretty much a waste of time in the first place, so I don't really bother with this. Number 7 is the Mark for Death Shout. This one increases your damage by decreasing the target's armor. It's arguably a glitch, because the armor reduction stacks and is permanent. This means that with enough patience you can one-shot every enemy in the game. I don't like using it because it makes any build viable. Here's how much damage I'm doing after just a couple of stacks of Mark for Death. And finally, number 8 is the Fortify Marksman potion. This one's definitely a glitch. I think the game can't actually tell the difference between the types of physical damage you do, so it simply affects all of your physical damage. Again, kind of defeats the purpose of an unarmed build, so I don't like using it. Besides, now for some dishonorable mentions. Holding a dagger in your offhand does not increase the speed of your swings. The dual flurry and dual savagery perks do absolutely nothing. They're a great pick if you want to waste a perk. You will never hit like a truck with these, unless the truck is called Lofty. According to my tests, the Agent of the Bell and the Lover's Insight also have no effect.
I never should have.
Alright, so a quick look at the actual numbers. The DPS values are there just for comparison. Without any exploits, a Khajiit maxes out at 95 damage, an Argonian at 80, an Orc maxes out at 74 times 2, so 148. And the maximum damage you will ever do as an inferior race is 74. onto the auxiliaries. You can't do any damage while you're waiting for your quick save to load, so the obvious thing is to get as tanky as possible and hope your enemy's health bar drops faster than yours. This stat bashing, as I like to call it, is the tried and tested form of combat even for veteran players. You reach the armor cap with a armor rating of 542 with a shield and 567 without one. Hitting the armor cap nets you 80% physical damage reduction. Every point beyond the armor cap is a waste. As you can see, with more than double the armor rating I had before, the giant still does the exact same amount of damage. If you combine this with the alteration spell Dragonhide, you get a total of 96% damage reduction. Leveling alteration to 100 and getting the Atronach perk as a necromage is also the only way to become immune to magic. This is obviously a very powerful combination, but try and think about how it would look like in practice. You would just be able to stand in front of an enemy and click your way closer and closer to carpal tunnel syndrome while slowly whittling away at their HP. As you can imagine, this gets dull real fast. But there is a more elegant way to survive in Skyrim, something other games have figured out as well. More on this later. Cloak spells are a nice fit for melee builds, because they provide another passive source of DPS. They also ignore blocking, which as an unarmed character we have no other way of dealing with. Magic resistance is a must when fighting mages, since you are unable to dodge most of their spells. Magic resistance caps at 85. You can stack elemental resistances to fire, frost and shock on top of this for a total of 97% reduction. As I said before, there's also magic absorption. This does not have a cap. You can become completely immune to magic by taking the Atronach perk and activating the Atronach stone as a necromage. As of late, I have started to forgo this route in favor of stacking magic resistance, just so I don't have to level alteration to 100. When playing unarmed, we don't have any disables in our arsenal. Equipping a shield fixes this by giving you a guaranteed stun. Guaranteed stuns are borderline OP, and I wouldn't combine them with vegetable soup because you can just stun lock opponents to oblivion. As I did here. This one seems like a great idea on paper, but trying it out in practice, I was less than impressed. It does increase your survivability by reducing enemy DPS, but it also slows down the game considerably and ends up being fairly annoying, at least to me. I feel like fights are over more quickly when you don't use it. It does have potential though. Restoration is a must at level 70 because of the necromage perk. Other than that, it does provide healing, which more often than not I don't use. Chugging loose health potions and cramming cheese down my throat seem like better alternatives to me. And I've saved the best for last. Let's check out the ultimate unarmed techniques straight from the dojo. First one, dodging. The enemy can't kill you if they can't hit you. I will be covering dodging in more detail in another video. Just know that you can dodge most melee enemies in the game. And finally, the crowning jewel of unarmed combat. All credit for finding this one goes to Happy Harpy. I guess this one's also technically an exploit, but at least you have to work for it. And, I mean, come on. This only works in third person. To perform this technique, start a normal punch and just before it lands, start mashing the left mouse button plus movement keys. A combination of movement keys in opposite directions seems to work best. And contrary to what Happy Harpy wrote, I seem to be able to do it with the left hand as well. This technique has the potential to massively increase your damage output and greatly speed up fights that would otherwise be really tedious. Namely, any fight against a high-level enemy. Just keep in mind it does not work when the enemy is blocking, so try and find an opening. This technique also unlocks the true power of the slow time shout. I think I've said enough. Go and have fun punching stuff in Skyrim.